Sonic is a franchise that is often considered experimental. If some Formula 1 game works, Sonic Team will do either of two things: never use it again or milk it. There's no in between. One of these experiments is the sub-franchise Sonic Boom, a spin-off series consisting of 3 games, a 2-season TV show, which is the best Sonic TV show, comics and merchandise. This franchise was said to be this new enormous part of Sonic, now being referred to Legacy Sonic, until everything, and I mean everything, blew up in Sega's faces. The games, apart from Fire and Ice, were the TV show, while being amazing, had a very bad distribution by Cartoon Network, airing at 6 to 7 in the morning, and the merchandise and comics, while also being decent, didn't bring up the money Sega hoped for. This led to the death of Sonic Boom and its quiet departure. So, now you're wondering, why I'm making a video, specifically an iceberg, to a dead franchise? Well, I recently got back into the Sonic series, finally playing some of its games, particularly Lost World on Wii U, so I also got a copy of Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric and played it. It's not a good game, but I enjoyed it at moments, and I really wanted to make an iceberg video to kick off this YouTube channel, so I made completely on my own this iceberg, and let's begin! Oh wait, what's an iceberg? An iceberg is basically an image of an iceberg divided into layers, each representing a knowledge of that argument. The more we dive deeper, the more that knowledge will be, well, not more much. So for example, if we take, I don't know, the Sonic iceberg, Sonic will be on the top, because it's a fairly common knowledge, while the Sonic capability of sneezing will be on the deep layers, because it's not so common. We got that? Cool. Okay, let's begin. Sonic Boom franchise. Like as I said earlier, Sonic Boom is a sub-series of the popular video game series Sonic the Hedgehog. It consists of 3 games: Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, developed by Big Red Button Entertainment for the Wii U, and Shattered Crystals and Fire and Ice by Censor Games for the 3DS. A 2-season TV series by Uido Animation, comics by Archie, and merchandise by Toby. Unfortunately, it all blew up in Sega's faces, mainly because of the game, Rise of Lyric, being so bad that it negatively affected all of the other components, making Sega lose tons of money and nearly killing Sonic for the second time. This series is considered dead by Sega. Practically the only thing that makes this thing alive are the fans who post clips of the TV show, more later, and some light acknowledgement by Sega. Big Red Button Entertainment. Big Red Button Entertainment is a video game developer founded in 2011, who developed Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. It was founded by 3 ex-members of Naughty Dog, another video game company who created the Crash Bandicoot games, Last of Us and Uncharted, among so many others. Those 3 members were E. Daniel R.A., Jeff Lander and Bob Raffay. Before developing Rise of Lyric, this new company was trying to develop a lot of games, but for some reason or another, they all got scrapped. One day, Sega approached them to make a new Sonic game. In fact, Sega was trying to find a Western developer for a new Sonic game targeted to those markets, and Big Red Button seemed the best company to work with. Unfortunately, due to factors out of control, the game they were developing, Sonic Synergy, again, more on that later, became Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. I won't go too much in depth now, because we'll get to this later. After developing Rise of Lyric, they went to develop VR games with some success. The Redesigns and the Backlash. The Sonic Boom series differs itself not only in terms of gameplay, but also in redesign and aesthetics. Basically, they put bandages on everyone, put some goggles on and other things on Tails to pump to steroids Knuckles, and put another dress on him. That's it. This got a lot of backlash, mainly because in a way to be different than Legacy Sonic, they put things only to be different. Honestly, I like this redesign and the art style they were doing, but I can see why people didn't like them. They've just overcomplicated the old designs. Glitches. In short, glitches are programming mistakes that lead to some malfunctioning in games. No game is safe of them, and the Sonic Boom games, specifically Rise of Lyric, are no exception. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric was rushed, so it's full of them. In fact, there are so much I can't even tell you all of them. Think of Sonic 06. But I can name a few of the most well-known and used, like the Knuckles' Infinite Jump or Fast Spin Dash for Sonic. I don't really know the name. There are also issues on the speed tracks. Speedruns. Using glitches, it's possible to beat Rise of Lyric in under an hour. The current record is owned by Signacom with 32 minutes and 33 seconds. Neat. Reviews. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric and Shattered Crystals are some of the worst received Sonic titles in history, respectively with 32 out of 100 and a 47 out of 100 on Metacritic. The critics slammed Rise of Lyric for basically everything: frame rate issues, glitches, story, gameplay, and so on, while Shattered Crystals was slammed for repetitive exploration, boring stages, and boring level design. By the way, Fire and Ice was the best received Boom game, with a 62 Metacritic. Upgrades. In Rise of Lyric you can find these machines that can upgrade various things, like damage you inflict to other robots. You can also upgrade the rings from 100 to 2000 if you completed Shattered Crystals on the 3DS, and other challenges. Rise of Lyric and the Sonic 06 Parallels. Due to the multitude of bugs, the frame rate drops, long loading times, and nearly killing Sonic again, Rise of Lyric is often compared to Sonic 06, another infamous and rushed game. The Sonic Boom games are the worst selling games in the Sonic franchise. This entry basically explains itself. With a total of 620,000 copies sold, the Sonic Boom games are the worst selling games in the entire Sonic franchise. I didn't find the exact number of Fire and Ice, but unfortunately I don't think it was very high. Sonic Toon. Sonic Toon is simply the Sonic Boom name in Japan. It's not very well documented online, and on YouTube, the only video I could find was a compilation of the cutscenes in Japanese voice. Also, fun fact, the Boom games weren't supposed to be sold in Japan, but they did anyway. Edit. I found that the Sonic Toon version are used in the speedruns, so yes. Sonic Synergy. Okay, so it's a lot to cover here, so I'll go to the general information. Sonic Synergy was the original idea that later became Rise of Lyric. Developed by Big Red Button, was going to be released on PC, PS4 and Xbox One. It was said to be a spin-off of the Sonic series, and it was going to tell an origin story of Sonic and Eggman. Time travel and the Ancients, more on that later, were also involved. With only 2 years in development, Big Red Button developed a vertical slice, a sort of short demo to show what they wanted to achieve with the game. They showed it to Sega and they were really impressed. And for what we can see online, it looks like it could have been a really fun time. But Sega hates to do cool stuff, so they not only made a deal with Nintendo to develop 3 exclusive games to the Wii U, but they also forced Big Red Button to port the game from the PS4, PC and Xbox One to the Wii U, a severely underpowered console, powered the CryEngine 3, a gorgeous engine, but that struggled to run even on a PC at the time, to the Wii U, and probably the most shocking, Sonic Synergy was now being part of a new branch of the Sonic series called Sonic Boom, consisting of games, a TV show, comics and merchandise. Had an impossible deadline to develop the game, and now see you good thanks! I hope a prototype of Sonic Synergy will be found in the future. I really want to play this version. Like as I said, I think it was going to be a fun game. Maybe with some flaws, but surely better than the final game. Fingers crossed. Who put the robot chests? One of the collectibles in Rise of Lyric are the robot chests, but where do they come from? We know that the princess crowns are somewhat linked to Styx, and the shinies are also owned by Styx. But the robot chests? They certainly aren't Eggman's, so maybe they come from Lyric? I don't know. Sonic Boom memes. An unexpected rise in popularity from the TV show comes from the fans who reposted some funny meta moments from the show, particularly the second season. Rise of Lyric soundtrack. Composed by Richard Jacques. I hope I pronounced that right. The man who also composed the Sonic Cars soundtrack. The Rise of Lyric soundtrack is more focused on a generic action-adventure type game that doesn't fit well in the Sonic series. It does fit the ambience of the levels in Rise of Lyric though, and it isn't that bad. Also, the soundtrack has a different version depending on what situation you're in. If you're just exploring, there is the exploring variant. And if you're in the speed section, it will be in the speed variant. Sonic Boom animation. Although in small amounts, There are few animations based on the Sonic Boom series. Roger van der Weyden made a few based on Shattered Crystals cutscenes, and Mujimaki made one where Styx meets the game. My personal favorite is the Sonic Boom redesign by Animated James. The first time I saw it, I was dying. It's hilarious. Give it a watch. The links are in the description. Styx is canon in the main series. In the post-credit of Sonic Frontiers, Amy says that she wants to hang out with Cream and Styx, so it's possible that in the future Sonic games we'll see the Sonic Legacy version of Styx. Big Red Button Style Guide. Big Red Button Style Guide is a document made by Big Red Button that shows what they want to achieve with Sonic Synergy in a sort of storyboard form. There's a lot of cool things that weren't shown in the available footage, like co-op mechanics, early plots, the character designs, and so on. Probably this is the furthest we can go to see what could have been. What a shame. If you're interested, Splash Dash made a video. Sonic Boom Shattered Crystals was going to be developed by Big Red Button. At the time Sega forced Big Red Button to make Synergy a Wii U exclusive, they also set Big Red Button to develop a 3DS game, which was a port of the Wii U game. Of course, the team was already struggling to port the game on Wii U, so the 2DS version was given to Sensor Games. No prototypes or gameplay are available to the public. I don't believe it didn't even pass the transfer phase, so at least the decision to outsource its development to Sensor was a good idea. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric similarities to Skylanders. Am I the only one to think Rise of Lyric is similar to the ones Unstoppable Skylanders franchise? Both are clearly aimed at kids, the puzzles are very easy and the combat isn't really deep. But if one is charming, was everybody's childhood like mine, and had multiple characters, each unique with different abilities, the other is just a game where it's the same 4 characters battling the same robots over and over while spamming Y and pressing the same buttons over and over again. Early title screen. The E3 demo had a very different title screen. First, the logo is just Sonic Boom, not with Rise of Lyric, just Sonic Boom, probably the name wasn't decided yet. But most importantly, the background is the old hubboard, the one with the animation tests. Maybe this build we could explore it? Lyric started out as an owl. This explains itself too. Lyric started out as an owl. Sonic. Being handled by Western writers and animators, the TV show has little moments of cute interactions between Sonic and Diddy that could hint at a future relationship. Also, in the episode The Biggest Fan, Chris Chan, the biggest fan of Sonic, kidnaps him and forces him to reveal Sonic mechanically. Yes, this was a real episode.
No, I was just searching for more of that fan fiction of yours. Ooh, Son Amy, spicy.
Chow Garden. Another scrapped idea for Rise of Lyric. There was going to be a Chow Garden. You could raise them and they could help you proceed in the game. Although kept, they can be used in a mobile game Sonic Dash 2 Sonic Boom, in practically the way they were intended to work in Rise of Lyric. Trailers. There were a few trailers that were published. One of the most important ones was the one with Skrillex Bangarang in the background. That was completely different from the Wii U game. The trailer advertised itself if it was running on a Wii, but later it turned out it was running on a PC. You scammy band! Crash and Burn. Crash and Burn is a pitch created by Big Red Button to develop a new Crash Bandicoot game. Like I said, they were the original developers of the original games, so it's obvious that they wanted to return to the series. Big Red Button pitched this while developing Rise of Lyric, so when they went full gear to do the conversion for Wii U, they abandoned the project. The trailer can still be found in their website. Sonic Boom takes place in the Apocalypse. This is a theory that I heard in a Sonic Castle. It states that the Sonic Boom takes place in some sort of post-apocalypse, and the characters are dressed like that because the bandages are the apocalypse style. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a thing online, so I assumed that it wasn't a popular theory, so there wasn't a lot of coverage, or it is a theory created only for the video I watched. Flash game. Sonic Boom Link and Smash was a flash game created to promote the TV show. It was playable in the Boomerang style. The gameplay is basically a Yoshi's Cookie, like you match the icon of the character with this item. If you're wondering, yes, it's worse than Rise of Lyric, but this is just a free flash game. Speed Trail in E3 demo. In the same E3 demo that we discussed earlier, the one with the early hub world, when Sonic and the gang sped up with the boostrings in the speed section, they all have a curved trail. This is really cool and I wish they kept it. Early reveal. Before Sega announced anything related to Sonic Boom, in June 2013 it was found out that Dave Polsky was working on a new Sonic cartoon named Sonic Boom through the description of the Troutcon 2013's website. This was the first time the public knew about the existence of Sonic Boom. Dodging makes you invisible. Discovered by a video by the YouTuber ModY while making a no-hit challenge in Sonic Boom, dodging in Rise of Lyric makes you invisible to anything, except for water and pits of course, for a few frames, even after the dodge is finished. Sonic Boom Season 3. A third season of Sonic Boom was in development, but later got scrapped. It was confirmed by the showrunner Freeberg. No concept or footage resurfaced, so it didn't get much far. The fan in the biggest fan is Chris Chen. So remember earlier with Tsunami? This entry refers to a possibility that the biggest fan of Sonic, Mark the Tapper, was inspired by Chris Chen, the man who drew the infamous comic Sonic 2. And I'll stop right there because I don't want to go much in depth. The showrunners were probably aware of him, given that in the second season the cartoon became more self-aware. Sega privated the original trailer. That's right, Sega has privated the trailer that we discussed earlier, the one that was running on a PCA, forbidding to give it to Rise of Lyric. The trailer was reposted by fans, and the same trailer can be still viewed on Nintendo's YouTube channel. Sonic Boom movie. A possible plan for a movie based on Sonic Boom was thrown around in some Sega interviews, but, like Boom Season 3, the movie hasn't any footage or concept art. It was most likely just an idea. Quincy's backstory. Quincy is a robot in Rise of Lyric that doesn't do almost anything. We know that he worked for Lyric and now he's friends with Lyric. But in the files, we found out that there was going to be a character's bios, and among the heroes and bosses, we found the backstory of Quincy. He was working with Lyric until after an unknown incident his wires crossed, and he started to think and act of his own. He probably rebelled to Lyric and escaped. That would be cool to include in the game. Scrapped Plane and Secret Room level. Two of the most well-known scrapped levels of Rise of Lyric were a scrapped plane level, that we could see a brief moment in one of the trailers, and some of its unused lines of dialogue, and a Secret Room level. Do you remember the trailer that was running on a PC? Well, right before Bangring started playing, the gang walked briefly in a secret room, and then going to another part of a scrapped level. This room includes one of the statue of the Ancients that we'll discuss later, so it's possible that the level was taken straight from Sonic Synergy video. A line said by Sonic that was used in place of probably it was going to be used back when Boom had a more serious tone. Another line similar to this is said by Knuckles, who says,
"Guys must have really pissed him off!"
Other Sonic characters in Boom's style. We don't know for sure, but it's possible that the other Sonic characters were drawn in Boom's style. My guess is that probably they would have advantages if Sonic can have a more western look. Shadow and Metal Sonic were added at the last minute. Shadow and Metal Sonic weren't planned to appear in Synergy or Sega forced Big Red Button to put them at the last minute to sell more copies. Hate mails. Shortly after the release of Rise of Lyric, the Big Red Button team, specifically Bob Raffay, received hate mails and even death threats over the game. This story really sad if you know the development story. The Ancients. The Ancients are a group of ancient beings. In the final game, they are only referenced with some statues and mentions, but in Synergy they were heavily involved. In Big Red Button style guide, we have some concept arts. They were highly advanced, had their own language, and so on. Lyric was one of them. There's some more information, but I link to you the fandom page where you can see for yourself. Sonic Boom was meant to replace the main series. A conspiracy theory that was thrown around, it said that Boom was going to replace the main series, if it did well. Fortunately, this was never the case, and even if Boom was going to do well, it would have never replaced the main series. Sonic Boom original TV show. Around the time Big Red Button was still developing Sonic Synergy, Sega made a deal with Animation to do a CGI Sonic show. This new cartoon went with different concept before turning into Sonic Boom. We don't know anything about these early forms. Maybe there are similar things to Sonic X with Boom's writing, but really don't know. Sequel plans. If Boom sold well, it would be obvious that Sega would demand sequels. The only sequel released was Fire and Ice, but maybe there was going to be a main console version of that game? Sonic Boom will never come back. The franchise is basically dead, but Sega acknowledged it sometimes. Recently, in TasteTube, they made the multiverse a thing, and among the possible multiverse forms of Sonic, there was a version of him all covered in images, like Boom Sonic. So it's possible that when Sega will get all the lost money from Boom, they will try again. It's very unlikely, but it could happen. And hey, if the Sonic Movie 3 will sold a lot of tickets, we could see more and more movies based on Sonic's games. And the chances are that we could see a Sonic Boom movie. And there you have it, folks, the Sonic Boom Iceberg. This was honestly fun to make, and this is my first true video on YouTube, and I think I did a good job. Sonic Boom wasn't all great, but it doesn't deserve to be forgotten, and I'm speaking to you, Sega. Try again with Sonic Boom, but maybe handle it with more care this time, please? But anyway, that's all for today. Be sure to like and subscribe. Take care.